What is up, sports bettors? Welcome to the Guys and Bets podcast. Recording this on the 29th day of April. It's Monday afternoon. It is Andrew Avery here with Kris Abbott.
Hello, and
welcome to the pod.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is kind of like I hate using the term bucket list. Like, it's one of the things that drives me absolutely crazy in this life.
Yeah.
But having a podcast. I know it's not my very own, but being a host on a podcast is kind of a bucket list thing that even all the opportunities I've had in media to this point, I've never got to do this. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. Kris and I are going to talk, obviously, some NFL draft reactions. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Super Bowl futures. We're going to dive into the NBA playoffs. We got series prices with all but one, I think, series underway in the second round. Nuggets Blazers game 1 tonight.
Nuggets Blazers game 1 tonight.
NHL series prices. And I want to talk MLB because Kris is on fire, first and foremost. So let me restart here. Guys and Bets has relaunched into a daily show, and now Kris does the show with Johnny Oddshark. And since the show started, Kris has gone 8-3 in 11 MLB picks on the show. I believe you're up 4.15 units.
Yeah.
So you're crushing it there. So I want to ask you at the bottom of the show about your capping routine when it comes to MLB, what you're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. And speaking of Guys and Bets, you can watch that every weekday, noon Eastern time, right here on YouTube. Join Kris and Johnny Oddshark for picks on the day's biggest games. And before that, folks at home should actually start watching the Morning Cash Out if you're not already. That's with Nick Kostos on the Oddshark Twitter at Oddshark. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern. Both of these shows Monday through Friday. Nick does a great job with this Periscope, and it is jam-packed with the betting info you really need to get your day started, recapping the day before, looking ahead to the day of. And if you don't follow Nick on Twitter, you need to do so at the Kostos.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
That guy is awesome, and we're really lucky to have him.
Absolutely. I agreed 100%.
He brings so much energy.
Knowledgeable.
He knows every
Everything.
sport and every TV show, too, because he knows everything about Game of Thrones.
Yep.
I really respect his hockey knowledge.
Yeah.
I really, his college football, his NFL football. He knows basketball. He knows baseball.
Soccer.
He knows soccer, too. He's right on the ball. And pardon the pun. And I actually didn't mean that one, believe it or not. I think he's just been such a great addition, and I can't wait to actually hang out with him at a sports book somewhere sometime and shoot the
proverbial Shiza, as the Germans would say. Yeah, Nick, great guy. I got to meet him down in Vegas last year. Hoping we get to hang out again in the future. But great addition. And if you're not watching the Morning Cash Out, you need to do so. Make it part of your daily routine. That's at Oddshark on Twitter, 9 a.m. Eastern. So, Nick has talked about the draft, and he's a big Giants fan. And of course,
I don't think big even begins to cover it.
The G-men, sort of under the microscope there with that 6th pick, picking Daniel Jones, the QB out of Duke. Did you catch any of the draft?
A little bit of it. It's been a crazy time for sports bettors.
I know. There's too much going on.
You can't possibly keep up. Like, I've sworn off NBA because, I was losing most of my NBA bets anyway.
Oh, dude.
But there's enough there to pick it up. There's been so much baseball. You talked about my affinity for that. The NHL playoffs, NFL draft, the Game of Thrones stuff has been absolutely huge, especially for us here at Oddshark. Like, we're getting swamped with people interested in this Game of Thrones thing, and it's a whole new betting world out there.
Totally.
But I go off on tangents. So what was the question you asked in the first place?
Did you watch
the draft? Yeah, exactly. I saw parts of it, and granted, people were fired up about the number 6 pick for the New York Giants of Daniel Jones out of Duke. But I wonder what they wouldn't be fired up about, because I think the fan base for the New York Giants is just so downtrodden.
Sure. And I know Costas was last year after they passed on a QB and drafted Saquon Barkley. Obviously, Barkley, a great season. But Costos and a lot of Giants fans were looking for a QB. Not another year of Eli Manning. So here we have them.
They thought it was going to be Dwayne Haskins.
Well, Haskins was still on the board.
I thought it was going to be Dwayne
you mean
Haskins.
Giants fan?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of the picks Johnny Onshark nailed, I think, was this guy to go as the number 2 quarterback, plus 275, I believe, the day of.
Yep.
But do you think they reached? Do you think they should have gone for Haskins? Because I'm not sold on Dwayne Haskins.
I'll be completely honest when I say I didn't watch a ton of Duke football this year. I do spend my time more. I mean, I guess it's technically Power 5, but you know what I mean.
Well,
a
lot of people say that the ACC could very well be the best conference in college football. You've got obviously Clemson, now the creme de la creme of the college football landscape, and you've got several other schools within that conference. Now, is Duke one of those? No, not really. I believe they finished ranked inside the top 25, maybe 25 on the nose, maybe 24, something like that. But you're right, Duke it's a basketball school.
Yeah. Well, what I do know about Daniel Jones is he's quick, he's mobile, and those are a couple things Dwayne Haskins isn't overly. He's a big, powerful man, Dwayne Haskins, but I don't know how his foot speed is going to translate into the NFL. And I think Washington actually took a few guys that could be hits or misses. And
for sure, I do like the way they drafted beyond Haskins.
Yeah.
And a lot of people now coming out and saying that this QB draft was very, very thin on quarterback. So my next question to you is, did the Cardinals screw up by taking Kyler Murray at number 1 with Josh Rosen sitting there only a year under his belt, playing for a terrible team?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fair
not
to
really
judge
getting
him on last
developed.
year. Yeah.
I think the Dolphins made a great deal by picking him up. But what do you think about Kyler Murray there at number 1?
Okay, here's the thing. I watched a lot of Kyler Murray last year, as a lot of us did. Obviously, he's explosive. He's exciting. People said it wouldn't translate for Russell Wilson. Didn't turn out to be an issue.
Yep.
So I think Kyler Murray's going to be okay.
Yep.
He's a small dude.
He is small. That's right.
He's small. Like, he might have, this isn't being facetious, he might have a hard time throwing the ball over his linemen.
Yeah.
You know, but he's got a cannon of an arm. He seems to be, one of these like super athletes.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be great. And I think we saw a bit last year with Lamar Jackson that there's some college coming into the pro game right now.
Yep.
And it's not like it just happened, but it's probably more accepted. Whereas before it might be, okay, you got to learn how to play this style. Now coaches are realizing, kind of like, you know what? It's kind of like dealing with like millennials and kids these days. Like you have to adapt to them and don't ask them to adapt to you.
Right.
And I think we're seeing some of that. So I don't think they messed up. I think you would have maybe liked to get more for Josh Rosen.
Right. What'd they get? 48 pick? No.
60-something?
60-something pick.
So for the Dolphins, you're getting a first-round pick for nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a great move for Miami. Who's your team?
So I had kind of fallen away from the NFL for a few years before I started working here. And so it used to be the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
Kind of grew up in the Reggie White, early Brett Favre years.
Yep.
And I was a big fan of the Packers. One of my uncles was a Packers fan. But I obviously don't really like what's going on there now.
Yeah, sure.
So I think I like the Cleveland Browns, though. Like, it might be bandwagon, but I think it's more because Baker Mayfield's cool as hell.
Yep.
And
I love what the Browns are doing.
And I'm a huge Greedy Williams fan.
Yep.
And they're kind of just making it exciting.
They are making it exciting. And, getting Greedy Williams there mid to late second round. I forget what number he went at, but absolute steal. I wanted the Niners to take Greedy Williams with that 4th pick in the second round. We ended up picking the wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. Whatever. It's fine. We need help in various positions.
Greedy went 46th overall.
46th overall. And he was projected every year throughout the college season. Mock drafts had Greedy Williams. First round. I think I read a lot about his attitude, being a big turnoff for teams, and he started to plummet down draft boards, but I think he's landing on a great team. And the Browns are going to be super excited. They have 4 or 5 primetime games in the upcoming season, and they're sitting there at 12-1 in Super Bowl futures.
Let's not forget they also stole Odell Beckham Jr. from the New York Giants.
Yep.
That people kind of forgot about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable steal for a guy who, when he wants to be, is arguably the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely top 3, top 5, no matter how you slice it,
Yeah.
but he gives Baker another weapon in that all of a sudden, very, very good Browns offense. Obviously, they had to fire, what's his name there, middle of the season, Hugh Jackson. before they got things turned around. But what do you think about the Browns there at 12-1? So looking at the board right here, and this is from the Odd Shark page. Who puts this together? Is it Jill?
Jill, NFL, maybe?
Jill. So he updated this last on the 26th. So that would have been Friday. Chiefs and Pats 7-1.
Yeah.
Rams and Saints 9-1. Bears, Browns 12-1. Then you get the Eagles 14, Colts 16, Chargers 16, Cowboys 20, so on and so forth. Browns 12-1. You buying or are you selling?
It's a big leap.
It's a massive leap.
It's a big leap to go from almost make the playoffs to Super Bowl champion. I think Kansas City's probably a lot further ahead, but they've got their own issues.
They've got massive issues. Kansas City, done.
Yeah, I think so.
Take them down the board.
Yeah. Since then, the Rams have gone back to plus 1,100. They might have a little bit of unfinished business in their game.
I think so.
And a healthy Todd Gurley. I like that. I don't think you can discount the Chicago Bears with Mitch Trubisky having a full season behind him.
Yeah.
And your boys, the Colts.
Colts are the sexy team of the offseason, I think. A lot of people talking about them. Them and the Browns seem to be leading that charge in the offseason as the, quote, sexy teams. Colts certainly deserved. Great season last year. Frank Reich, amazing coach, 16-1. I like their odds to win the AFC South. Pretty good value there.
Here's one I'm going to throw at you.
Yeah.
And people will think I'm crazy just because of the way last year ended. But do you remember who was ranked as like one of the top defensive teams in the league when last year started? The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Of course.
Okay, and Leonard Fournette, when he's on, is on.
Yep.
And now they have a quarterback, too, if you like your buddy, Gardner Minshew, who got picked up.
That's right. Sixth round, fifth round, something like that.
Jacksonville's plus 3,300. So if I was looking at a long shot, Ninja.
It's a good call. It's a good call. They have the quarterback position figured out now, the Blake Bortles era, Dunsky.
Thank God.
Thank God. Because, yeah, you're right. This team, supremely talented on the defensive side of the ball. I like that. Further down the board, what do you think of the Vikings at 22-1?
Okay, so I kind of fell in love with the Vikings last year late in the season.
Yeah.
And they broke my heart. Really like Adam Thielen.
Me too.
I like the way that they started to run the ball finally a little bit more late in the year last year.
Yeah.
It was too little too late.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with their draft entirely, but
I know they got Irv Smith, the tight end from Bama.
Yep.
Who is a very,
Another
very
option.
good pick. I love it.
Center, tight end,
But
running back.
the thing with this team is, are you all in on Kirk Cousins?
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. He got paid a lot. I think he was good last year, but not great. I think Kirk Cousins is a talented QB, so maybe he needs a year to get this offense under his belt. But Vikings at 22-1, kind of like that one. But I'm with you on the Jags too, 33-1. Yeah, Falcons right there at 35-1 as well.
But I think a big miss for the Vikings early last year was not using Dalvin Cook enough. And
Yeah.
I think he could be a real game breaker and open up that Irv Smith, Adam Thielen attack.
Right.
Because I think
Stephon Diggs.
they had, yeah, exactly, if he's healthy.
Yeah.
They had something silly, like 70% of their plays were pass plays
Yeah.
through like week 12 or something last year, something stupid. Then they started running the ball. They started having success.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. I got to find that balance for sure.
yeah, and they're playing in a division that, okay, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
nothing scary in that division.
Yeah, well, the Bears are going to be good, but I think the Lions are the Lions. Packers, you don't really know.
Do you think Rodgers is done? Close to it? No,
I don't think so. Injury's obviously a concern with him, but no, I think he's got more left in him.
New coach.
New coach.
New lease on life.
New lease on life, exactly. So
Okay.
Packers fans, chin up. You'll be all right.
They were the favorite going in last year. Like,
I know.
That just goes to tell you how none of this really matters.
Right, exactly.
You know, except the fact the Patriots are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, at 7-1 to win it. Yeah, every year you can set your watch to it. Let's get into a little NBA here now, though, and like I said at the top, everything has started save for Blazers Nuggets. That's game 1 tonight. The other game tonight is game 2 between Sixers and Raptors. So series prices, Series prices look like this. Sixers plus 340, Raps minus 480. Of course, Raptors up a game. Looked really good winning game one, which was a big monkey off their backs considering the Raptors' history in series openers in the postseason. Not good. So with game one coming tonight in the West, Blazers plus 120, Nuggets minus 140. Now, surely you think the Raptors have this thing all but wrapped up, right? I know we're only
After game one?
Yeah, of course. But they blew the pants off the Sixers. I don't think the Sixers, some great talk in the chat this afternoon in the Guys and Bets chat room on YouTube, people saying that when Kawhi is playing, Sixers just do not have an answer. Embiid misses shoot-around with what people are calling the Marc Gasol flu. A lot of issues there with Philly. So we're not going to bet the Raptors minus 480, I don't think. But are the Sixers worth a shot at plus 340?
If this is a video game,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you were playing with the guys based on their skill rankings,
Yeah,
but you're right. There's a lot of issues with this team.
totally. So Kawhi Leonard's the best player on the floor, correct?
In the series?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's second?
See, depends on the day.
Yeah.
Like Joel Embiid, he can be.
Yeah,
he can dominate a game.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like after Kawhi, and I know you're a Kyle Lowry guy. I don't necessarily love him, but he's pretty good.
I'm not sold on playoff version of Kyle Lowry. So my power rankings in this series are Kawhi Leonard. You got to go Joel Embiid. You got to go Ben Simmons. Then you probably got to go Jimmy Butler before another Raptor enters the conversation. So that tells me that there are major issues with this Philly team. I'm surprised the Raptors dominated as bad as they did in game one. If they do it tonight, series is over. Forget about it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting. I'm not betting anything. I will just play Raptors money lines and roll them over for the rest of the series. But Sixers plus 340, no, forget that.
No, I mean, yeah, it's when you bet on sports, because that's what we're here to do. You want to have some sort of edge, and I don't see any edge in the way that the 76ers play the game of basketball. Unless Embiid is totally locked in, Jimmy Butler's playing with tenacity, and JJ Redick's hitting 3-pointers.
Yeah.
That's the only way this happens.
Right.
So what's that tell you?
Yeah, I think the Raptors have the defense, the perimeter defense to get in their face on those long shots. So,
well, I think that's a big thing. The Raptors' defense is underrated. Because you look at Kawhi, you're like, oh, the offense, Danny Green hitting threes, Pascal Siakam and Serge Ibaka, they get the job done. But it's on the defensive end of the floor, which, that we thought that was going to be Boston's hallmark. But
yeah, I think they're only averaging 90 points against so far in the playoffs. But big game two tonight. Like I alluded to, game one between the Blazers and Nuggets. Blazers plus 120. Nobody gave them a chance against the Thunder. None of the, quote, so-called experts gave them a chance. But now, I'm speaking on behalf of different sports websites out there that have those expert picks before, but now a lot of them like to upset the Nuggets in this series. Do you see that happening?
Nothing's got me overly excited about the Denver Nuggets all year. They've been good at home, but as well as Portland. So I think whatever team is able to steal one on the road here might very well win this series. I think it's going to be close, and the series price reflects that.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been big on Portland all year. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum are super exciting players to watch. So, we'll see. I would take the underdog always in a situation this close. So, yeah, you can mark me down as a Portland Trailblazers supporter.
Okay.
They're one of the best spread teams in the league, too.
Yeah.
I know we're talking series price here, but Portland, after Milwaukee, I think Portland's number 2.
Yeah. Raptors have moved to -7. They open at 6.5. And the Blazers sitting there as 4-point dogs for game one in Denver tonight out west. The other two series in the NBA. First one, let's go out east because this one did not start the way people expected it. The Boston Celtics down a game, up a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Celtics still underdogs in this series, slightly though, -105. Bucks, 10 cents, -115. So, two-part question here. Who wins this one? And second question, what would the preferred matchup be for the Raptors?
I think I don't see Milwaukee dropping the first two at home, but it's quite possible. So I'm going to back Milwaukee again in game 2. I think Boston's a better matchup for the Raptors.
Yeah.
I actually saw them play each other live this year, and it was pretty close.
Yep.
I think the games against Milwaukee, they couldn't contain Giannis, and not many people can.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I think the Celtics-Raptors would be a very tight series, and I think that would favor the Raptors. And I don't think you can count the Celtics out here. They're up a game, minus 105. This is where you get into the conversation about the NBA's regular season.
Yep.
Because there was times during the regular season that the Celtics were abysmal.
Yeah, horrible.
And Milwaukee kind of rolled right through. And now, does Brad Stevens have his team just ready to go? Is Kyrie Irving locked in?
Yeah.
You know? So I'm interested to see what happens in that game. Is that Tuesday night, the day this drops?
That is Tuesday, yeah. So, like I said off
Do we
the
have a
top,
line on that one?
Yeah, it's 7.
7?
Yeah. Like I said at the top of the pod, we're recording this on a Monday afternoon. It'll probably be rolled out on Tuesday morning. So by the time you hear this, Sixers Raps will be done, Blazers Nugs will be done, and then we'll be looking ahead to Celtics, Bucks, and Rockets Warriors.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the Celtics plus 7.
Celtics plus 7. All right. And then out west, we've got, of course, the Golden State Warriors up a game against the Houston Rockets. So we've got the Rockets 3-1 and the Warriors minus 400. Something about this series tells me that it is not quite over just yet. I mean, no, the Rockets were in that game. They only lost by 4, I believe, 104-100. I think that was the final.
Yep, they covered.
A lot of talk about the officiating, which is always front and center come NBA playoff talk. Do the Rockets have a chance in this?
I'm going to say they needed to win game 1
Yeah.
to have a chance here. Just because when you're an underdog team like that, when you're so close and you don't win it, you're bound to lose another game that's close in the series.
Yeah.
And you're playing from behind because Golden State has more talent.
Yep.
And it certainly seems like Kevin Durant is completely focused here in the playoffs. There's a lot of questions about, oh, he's going to New York. He's going
he seems to be
LA,
dialed in.
whatever. I don't think that is in his mind right now. Did you see like a couple of interviews with him where they were asking about the defenses that were getting played against him? He had it all broken down from where like all 5 defenders were on the floor, which guys this is in the Clippers series.
Yeah.
Which guys he could expose, where he needed to step back, blah, blah, blah. Like everyone looks at Kevin Durant and goes, he's just this guy out playing basketball, takes shots, blah, blah, blah. This guy is smart.
Interesting.
He is smart, and he is completely, in my mind, one focus only, and that is on another NBA championship in Golden State.
Yeah, he's dialed in. What did he finish with? 35 in game 1?
Yeah, so that's
shot well from the floor. Harden finished with the same, but he was not very efficient with his shots, as Harden can be. And, of course, the big thing was that he wasn't getting calls. So Durant just goes out there to play basketball. Harden relies on, maybe some calls from the Zebras on the court.
And Chris Paul got thrown out of that game. So that shows you the emotional state of the Houston Rockets as compared to the Golden State Warriors. You hear it in sports a lot of the time. Don't let the highs get too high or the lows get too low. Houston let their emotions get the better of them, and Golden State just did what they do, and Steph Curry hit a huge 3 at the end over Nene.
Yep.
So, I think Houston needs to win that game if they're going to win the series. Now, I think I would say Golden State wins the series 4-2.
4-2.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
I wonder what the price is on that.
Exact series prices.
I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find it here now.
Dig them up. The big knock on the NBA is the predictability, or seemingly
Well, I've been getting killed.
predictable. Well, I just mean when it goes series to series, like we know that ultimately the Rockets and the Warriors were going to meet up, and we know that more than likely the Warriors are making the championship and probably going to win, and it's going to be the Raps and the Bucks or whatever in the East. One sport where you don't have that predictability has certainly been the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs, once again providing nothing but thrills and upsets and good hockey and great betting opportunities and parity.
By the way, Ninja, sorry, Warriors to win in 6 plus 400.
Plus 400.
Warriors to win in 7 plus 400. So
Okay.
Daddy's going to be making both those bets.
Kris is locked in on exact series prices there with the Warriors. But we've got one game on tonight's NHL board. Again, this is Monday. That'll be Game 3 between the Blues and the Dallas Stars. So let's start with that series price there. So obviously, recording this on a Monday, we know it's locked at 1-1. Stars now at -105, Blues -115. How long do you see this series going? Who is going to win this? Look into your crystal ball, because the way the Stanley Cup playoffs have been going, throw predictability out the window.
This one's the toughest one in the round, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, the St. Louis Dallas series. They're two fast, heavy, well-coached teams with good goaltenders. And you can say that about a lot of teams left, I guess. There's only 8 teams left, but these guys just match up so well.
Yeah.
St. Louis won Game 1, Dallas won Game 2. I've bet on St. Louis to win Game 3. They're unbeaten on the road in the playoffs, and they're paying even money. So you'll be able to tell when you're listening to this if I was right or wrong.
Yeah.
And as for a series price, I don't know.
Coin flip.
Honestly, I do not know. There's so little to give, and I mean you can tell that way by the totals in this series. They've been set at 5, and that's insanely low for the NHL, and we're seeing a lot of that. So this is a series. I said it on a podcast earlier this week that I'm just going to sit back, crack a beer, and watch this series because I really don't know, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's been the beauty of the playoffs so far. And out east, Jackets and Bruins. I believe this one's 1-1 apiece. Jackets plus 105. Bruins -125. Jackets, of course, scoring, a massive upset in round 1. Bruins beating the Leafs, which you were all in on.
Oh, yeah.
Putting our boy Scotty into embarrassing, precarious situations.
It didn't stop. That was, I tell you what, I got to give Scotty a lot of credit.
Absolutely. Hats off.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Scott Hastings and I here at the Odd Shark office had a bet on the Leafs Bruins series, and the loser had to wear a Santa Claus suit all day. Like, I'm talking all day. From like the time when you get dressed in the morning, you wear a Santa Claus suit, you wear it to the office, you do all your things that you've got to do. We went out to lunch as a group, and here's the kicker. Scotty had a bank appointment to talk to a mortgage broker that afternoon.
Oh, my God.
I think we might have let him take it off to go to that. Can you imagine going into the bank?
Hey, amazing.
Looking to get a mortgage here. So we're going to say no to the guy dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, exactly. Hard no from the bank. 1-1, Jackets, Bruins. This is very similar to Dallas St. Louis. I have no idea. I have no idea in this one.
The one thing that I do have an edge on here is that Columbus now has home ice advantage in this series.
Yep.
And the Nationwide Arena with the big cannon, it's been just an absolute zoo. And that played a big part in Tampa's losses. And this is the furthest they've ever been in the playoffs, and the fans are fired up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I actually know their former radio play-by-play guy, and he said Columbus, when he got there, he went there when the franchise was just starting up, and he said everything was Ohio State football.
Oh, yeah.
As it would be.
Sure.
And he said it's crazy.
Yeah.
But some of that mentality has come over to the hockey side.
Yeah,
and they
see it.
absolutely love it. And the Buckeyes, the hockey team, is huge as well.
Yeah.
So it's an undercover hockey town.
Yep.
And
I love these small market NHL teams.
Yeah.
The Nashvilles, the Columbuses, the Carolinas. Fans have really, really embraced Vegas, of course, the run last year, and the fans have just embraced it and gone all in and watching games in last season's playoffs in Nashville and in Vegas, like you said, just insane. So I'm loving what the NHL's done with some of these markets where they've expanded and people have maybe, raised an eyebrow at, but they've done a great job.
No, I think actually Gary Bettman, he takes a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
I just did. And he's done overall a fantastic job for the NHL. So. But I do like Columbus now for an edge in this series. Sergei Bobrovsky's been unbeatable.
Yeah.
They managed to find a way to win a game in Boston, and I think it's going to be really tough for the Bruins to win a road game in this series. So we'll see. This one's going to go 6 or 7 games as well. But I like Columbus going into the series. I think they're a little bit healthier. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with him.
We were talking about Scott Hastings there before. Follow Scott on Twitter if you aren't already. That's at ScottyH_OS.
You know what? He's good for a lot of things, not just dressing up as Santa Claus, but he's a big UFC guy.
Yeah, big UFC guy. He had an insane college basketball season with his capping and his picks. He knows his college football. So when that ramps up, he definitely, obviously, well worth a follow there. Dude knows his stuff. No point in talking much about Canes Isles. Canes minus 450, Isles plus 325, or is
Actually, yes, there is. And I'll tell you why. And our friends on Long Island are going to like this. The Canes are up 2-0.
Yeah.
They've got home ice advantage. But in the last game, their starting goalie was hurt. One of their top 4 defensemen was hurt.
Yeah.
And they had another rookie forward hurt. And they are running out of bodies. So series price in the Isles now is like 350.
Plus 325 I made my notes earlier. It might have changed.
Yeah, so I don't hate that, to be completely honest with you. It's obviously it's an underdog pick. That's why it's plus 350. But for the reasons that Carolina are really going to have to reach down into their farm system. By the way, their farm team in Charlotte is one of the top American Hockey League teams. So that sucks for those guys because they're going to have players ripped off their roster.
Yeah.
They already have. So, yeah, I wouldn't hate the Islanders series price right now.
And then fourth and final is, of course, out west. It's the Avs and the Sharks. This is a game apiece. And we're looking at the Avs at even money. The Sharks, slight faves there at minus 120.
For me, this is whoever's goaltender plays the best.
Yep.
And in game 1, it was Martin Jones, and in game 2, it was Philip Grubauer.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. What Johnny Oddshark has done and what I've done as well in the first 2 games is bet the over.
Yeah.
We had 7 goals in both games. Colorado, I wrote an article yesterday slamming Colorado. They had gone 1-17 in their last 18 trips to San Jose.
Jesus.
So, of course, they won, right?
Yeah. As they do.
But the number's actually crazy, like 4-25 since 2005.
Wow.
That's
wild.
Yeah, playoffs included.
Yeah.
But they pulled out a win last night. So, again, I like this Avalanche team. I think San Jose, who had to play a couple more games in the first round, and also are missing bodies, and also had a goaltender who was playing above his weight. So I know a lot of people, I think the Sharks are the Stanley Cup favorite at
the Canes
Bovado.
are.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, because they're the only team up 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's funny because
it's wild.
I said in a podcast before not one of our podcasts, but I go on the Daily Face-Off. Check that out if you like hockey. These guys are awesome.
Yep.
And I went on there and I told them, they asked me for a sleeper pick, and I said the Hurricanes.
Nice.
You got to love that when it starts to work out.
Of course.
I think they were plus 2,500 or something.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now they're up 2-0 on the Isle. And Stanley Cup faves.
Wow, that's crazy.
So if it's Carolina and the Blue Jackets in the East Final, how many people had that picked?
I'm going to go.
And therein lies the beauty of the NHL playoffs.
Well, the NHL playoffs are exciting. They're unpredictable. And a Columbus-Carolina Eastern Conference Final is going to drive executives at NBC absolutely batty because nobody wants that.
That's absolutely true.
But, I mean, you know what? Unless they get Boston now, unless they got Boston Islanders.
Yeah.
Which, that'd draw pretty well in the Northeast.
It would, yep.
And then, I mean, I think St. Louis, Dallas is probably going to do well for them.
Yeah.
I don't think you can miss out in the Western Conference.
Nah.
Yeah.
Some good markets there.
But to finish the thought, I do like Colorado.
Colorado over San Jose, currently even money ahead of game 3. Now, one sport, you're way up. 4.15 units, 8-3 in your picks on Guys and Bets, noon Eastern time on YouTube. Kris Abbott crushing MLB betting. You've got 3 picks on today's show. You'll have more throughout the week, every day, Monday through Friday. So I want to ask you, and maybe give some pointers to the folks at home, the listeners at home. What is your baseball capping routine? How do you go about looking at what's on the board, isolating what you like? Are there any spots you've been looking to bet regardless this year, whether it's something like Mets totals or fading Chris Sale or just blindly backing the Rays every day? When you get into the OddsShark headquarters here, what's your routine like when you look at the MLB board?
Okay, so the first thing with Major League Baseball is because there's so many games, you have to be consistent with your strategy.
Yep.
You can't get if you're I'm betting the Mets over, right? Because it's hitting at a fantastic rate. So if I lose that, like I did yesterday, I'm still coming back on it tonight,
right,
at 7.5 because there's so many games.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But the first thing I do is look at the starting pitchers,
of course,
because they are the tone that sets the game, and they're the reason the lines end up the way they are.
Absolutely.
So starting pitchers set the betting lines. That's why when a starter gets scratched, the line comes down off the board. So that's how important it is.
Yep.
It would be like a starting quarterback going down in the NFL. So I look at that. That's the first thing I check out. I check out where the game is going to be. I check out how teams have done both against each other and just in general coming into the series or coming into the game.
Yeah.
And then I'll look at batting averages against specific pitchers.
Yep.
Which is very important. Like some guys just hit Justin Verlander well. Not
That's
many.
Right. Not many.
Like tonight, I got the first 5 under against Minnesota because they have terrible numbers against him.
Yep.
We'll find out when you're listening tomorrow if I was right on that. And then, I look for spots where you have public teams that are probably getting overvalued, like Monday night, Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals, for some reason, maybe because St. Louis is a bit of a smaller market, they're a really good baseball team. In fact, they have the best record in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And they're an underdog against the Nationals, who are a popular team, have a lot of good young stars, but aren't really performing and have a bad bullpen.
Yeah.
So those are the things I try to jump on. That just like the Boston Red Sox, you were able to, once you saw that they were going in the tank, I started fading them a bit. And that worked out well. And until their starting pitching comes back around, I'm going to continue to fade them. And I'm on the Tampa Bay Rays Monday night. They're playing the Royals. Tampa Bay's a fantastic team. They're tops in the American League. So, I'm on that. So look for, I guess, mismatches where the juice isn't as much as you think it should be. That's the first thing I identify.
Yep.
And then I'll look further into the statistics to see if I can find a reason. And if I can't find a good enough reason, then I'm going to make the bet.
Another area that I think I always look at, I know you look at one of these areas, but if you're listening at home, you're new to baseball betting or whatever the case may be, never underestimate the weather and the home plate umpire.
Yeah.
I think you talked about a pitcher's obviously the most important, changes the face of the team you're betting on. But with the human being behind the plate calling balls and strikes, and everyone has their different strike zone, I think you would be remiss if you did not look at the home plate umpires as well. You can find stats like home plate umpire stats on oddshark.com as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with an umpire is their ball to strike ratio. If they call more balls, they're forcing the pitcher to throw the ball in the strike zone, in a smaller area of the strike zone.
Yep.
And that's going to lead to more hits and more home runs.
Absolutely. Yeah. There was one year I was working for a different website. I can't remember the name of the umpire. But we kept writing stories about him because the over was hitting in like 9 games in a row, then 10, then 11, then 12. It became a story for that baseball season. This is a few years ago now. But always pay attention to stuff like that. In baseball, weather, take it or leave it, but you've got to look at it. You got to look where the wind's blowing, temperatures, all that. Don't make it the sole focus of a bet, but you've got to take it into account before you make your bets.
Yeah, I think, and something else that's important too in baseball, again, because there's so many games, teams really do go in funks, and teams really do get hot. And if you see a team that's won 2 or 3 games in a row, and you get a decent line on them, and maybe they're an underdog against a team that's not playing so well, it's never a bad spot.
Is there a team you're looking at when you come into work every morning to see what their price is on the MLB board?
Right now, I look a lot at St. Louis.
Yeah.
I'm looked to fade the Philadelphia Phillies right now.
Yeah.
And I look for games in which Jacob deGrom unfortunately, he's on my fantasy team, but he's not having a good couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So until he goes out and throws another blinder, I'm going to take the over in those games.
Yeah.
Because they're usually at 7. Same with Syndergaard. So I look for good pitchers who haven't been getting good results. Like Max Scherzer his record is fine, but the team is 1-5 in games where he starts.
Right.
And they're usually a favorite. So I know I faded him the other day and I won. Also, teams that, well, back to the thing I was saying about streaks. The Toronto Blue Jays, who were supposed to suck, all of a sudden are pretty good. So if Marcus Stroman or Aaron Sanchez is starting, they're definitely worth a look.
Shoemaker.
Oh, terrible story, man. They would have had 3 good starters, and he tears his ACL down for the year.
Yeah, but the Jays certainly punching above their weight. Of course, Vladdy Jr.'s in the mix now.
Well, their hitting lineup, so they're almost starting to remind me a little bit of the Roy Halladay days.
Yeah.
Where they had a pretty good team, but they don't have the arms.
Yeah.
But I've got faith in this Charlie Montoyo as a manager.
Sure.
And everyone was all over Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro when they came from Cleveland. But look what they did in Cleveland.
I know. They rebuilt them into a very, very good team.
Where everybody was a good baseball player.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that with the Blue Jays. So we'll
hopefully.
see.
It's going to be a marathon and not a sprint, but excited to see Vladdy Jr.
One more team that looked to fade is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Really?
They started really hot.
Yeah.
Not so much right now. So that's another team.
All right, there you go. Some baseball tips from Kris Abbott. And you're going to want to check into the Guys in Bet show every day, noon Eastern, right here on YouTube. Hit that bell to get your alerts set up on your phone so you don't miss an episode. Kris on fire, 8-3 and 11 MLB picks, up 4.15 units. And like I said at the top, you need to start watching the Morning Cash Out if you aren't already. That's on the Oddshark Twitter, @Oddshark, and it's hosted by Nick Costos at The Costos every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. You've got your Morning Cash Out at 9, you've got Guys and Bets at noon, and you're all sorted for the day. For Kris Abbott, I am Andrew Avery. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next week on the next episode of the podcast.